The Commission on Elections has reset the presidential and vice presidential debates supposedly to be held this weekend to April 30 and May 1.
The Department of Health sets the rollout of the second booster dose for immunocompromised individuals aged 18 years of age and above on April 25.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority blames provincial bus operators for the confusion in the implementation of the window hour scheme as many passengers were left stranded.
The first ever tank battalion of the Philippine Army has been activated in Capas, Tarlac after more than 61 years.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Friday, April 22, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am Hardin Delgado.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. The Commission on Elections, or Comelec, is appealing to all candidates for the presidential and vice presidential race to attend the town hall debates, the last leg of their debate series. This comes after the debates supposedly to be done this weekend were postponed to a later date as a result of an unsettled payment of their contractor Impact Hub Manila, the company behind Vote Pilipinas, to the venue management Sofitel.
Personal na pumunta dito yung representative ng Sofitel upang sabihin na may mga checking araw na nag-bounce sa kanila yung aming partner. Of course, they are just asking for our assistance and help para makakolekta. So, syempre, ginawa namin ang lahat ng magagawa namin for the last two days para lang they can come up with a good plan so that maybe they can set aside their differences. Baka pwede na lang ituloy ito. But as of last night and as of this morning, unfortunately, ay mukhang wala pang tamang direksyon.
The presidential and vice presidential town hall debates will be conducted on April 30 and May 1, respectively. Comelec Commissioner George Garcia says the full attendance of the candidates was the request of their new partner, the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas, or KBP.
Pakiusap po ng KBP, sana daw po ay lahat ay naandyan man lang. So kasi sabi nila, siyempre magagastusan nila. Siyempre magbibigay sila ng buong efforts nila. This will be the last debates and this will be the last time perhaps that you can express yourselves and show yourselves to the entire country.
Sa maikli lang ang panahon na allowed ng mga kampanya, hindi pa namin nasabi kaagad na hindi matutuloy yung debates tomorrow and Sunday. Naintindihan po namin na naiset nyo na yan sa inyong kalendaryo sa pangangampanya at humihingi po kami ng paumanhin.
The venue for the debates will be announced not later than Monday, April 25. So far, there was no final list yet of candidates who will be participating in the last leg of the poll body's debates. But in a press conference earlier today, the tandem of Senator Panfilo Lacson and Senate President Vicente Soto III hinted that they may not attend the town hall debates due to conflict of schedule.
We have already fixed our schedules and May 1, meron kami activity. Pinospone nila yung April 24 na presidential debate to May 1. We cannot make those adjustments anymore.
Other presidential and vice presidential candidates have yet to confirm their attendance on the last round of Comelec debates.
Meanwhile, the Philippine National Police has deployed Special Action Force personnel in two towns in Lanao del Sur. This move comes after the PNP received reports on threats on the May 2022 polls, including that from local terrorists. Leia Ilagan has the story.
The Philippine National Police continues to validate information on threats on the security of the upcoming local and national elections. PNP Directorate for Operations Director, Police Major General Battalion said there is also information on threats coming from local terrorists in Mindanao.
Ang ating kapulisan ay handang-handa sa lahat ng impormasyon na nakakarating sa amin, and we are conducting contingency plans in order to address these informations, whether they are true or not.
The police official adds that the towns of Tuburan and Mabalang in Lanao del Sur have been placed under Comelec control.
Meron tayong mga gagawin dyan. In fact, our forces, our Special Action Force have already deployed several platoons in the area.
Major General De Leon also confirms they have received reports on the demand for permit to campaign and permit to win by the CPP-NPA given to some candidates in Bicol region.
We are still receiving reports, so we are validating this. As I've said, our ground forces are doing something. So tuloy-tuloy ang police presence, tuloy-tuloy ang mga validations ng mga intelligence communities, at ang ating mga kapulisan ay handang tumugon sa mga report na nakakarating sa kanilang opisina.
The PNP warns candidates in the May 2022 elections not to give money to the New People's Army to avoid facing charges. The Philippine National Police also ensures they are also looking into reports of vote buying in different areas in the country. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Labor leader Leody de Guzman joined a climate justice march in Mendiola today. Vice President Leni Robredo, meanwhile, signed a covenant with a transport group. The camp of Manila Mayor Isko Moreno urges the Bureau of Internal Revenue again to garnish accounts of the Marcos family. Senator Panfilo Lacson, meanwhile, wants to look deeper into Smartmatic's shift from 3G to 4G technology. His fellow Solan, Manny Pacquiao, calls for the full implementation of the Bangsamoro Peace Deal. The unity, meanwhile, eyes to redirect the focus of the country's tourism department. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Members of the Philippine Movement for Climate Change, together with presidential candidate Leody de Guzman, held a protest in Manila City today as they march on Earth Day. The labor leader joined the protesters in lying on the streets of Mendiola as they called for the urgent need to address climate change. In a media forum, de Guzman also reiterated that he will not back out from his presidential bid.
Mukhang wala na bang atrasa na lahat kasi mukhang lahat ay nanindigan na tutuloy yung labanan.
As for Vice President Leni Robredo, today she signed a covenant with the transport sector. According to VP Robredo, the covenant is a product of a series of consultations with transport groups regarding issues and problems that need the government intervention. The country's second top official said if she wins the presidency, she will prioritize the welfare of the transport sector.
Yung akin lang commitment sa inyo, nandito kami, kaisa nyo kami. Kahit pa hindi pa ako Pangulo, ginawa ko yung mga pwedeng gawin para kahit pa paano maibsan yung kahirapan na pinagdadaanan ninyo.
The group of Senator Panfilo Lacson was in Antipolo City today for a town hall meeting. During the press conference, his running mate Senator Tito Soto expressed concern on Smartmatic's shift from 3G to 4G network. In the 2016 elections, Smartmatic used 3G technology in transmitting votes from the vote counting machines. Senator Lacson said the Congress, which has an oversight power, should look into this matter.
We should really look deeper into this issue because this is vital. Pwedeng game changer, pwedeng, deliberate or, well, it's too early or premature to question kung meron bang motive behind this.
Meanwhile, Senator Manny Pacquiao in a statement calls for the full implementation of the Bangsamoro Peace Deal. The lawmakers said agreements reached during peace negotiations should be implemented swiftly to ensure success. He also points out that a number of peace negotiations with various rebel groups have failed mainly because of the lack of sincere effort to execute what has been agreed upon. The political party of Manila Mayor Isko Moreno Dumagoso urges the Bureau of Internal Revenue yet again to continue the government's collection of the 203 billion estate tax remain unpaid by the Marcos family. In a letter to BIR Commissioner Cesar Dulay, which has been sent to media, Action Democratico Chairperson Ernest Ramel Jr. calls for the garnishment of bank accounts relating to the estate of the late President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. The camp of Bongbong Marcos has yet to comment on the issue. Meanwhile, Marcos Jr. has no political rally today. In a news release, the former senator is looking at upgrading the Department of Tourism's roadmap to hasten the tourism industry's recovery in order to help contribute to the country's overall economic outlook. Bongbong Marcos says their roadmap aims to redirect the focus of the tourism department from just being a marketing agent of the country's tourist spots to directly managing tourism destinations. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
A Comelec commissioner has called the appeal of a group supporting presidential candidate Vice President Leni Robredo for an honest elections unnecessary. This was in response to the call made by the group AIM Alumni for Leni to the Comelec and to all involved in the election process to ensure a non-partisan, peaceful, and credible elections. In an official statement, Commissioner Socorro Inting said she and the poll body are fully aware of this constitutional mandate. According to Inting, the appeal tends to sow distrust on the integrity of the Comelec. She also described the group's appeal as subtly conditioning the minds of Filipinos that elections will not be credible should Robredo lose in the upcoming polls. The statement was also read by her fellow Commissioner Amy Ferolino in today's press conference. The AIM Alumni for Leni has yet to comment on Inting's remark. For her part, Ferolina says she welcomes any calls for non-partisanship as long as it is not politicized.
The Department of Health sets the rollout of the second booster dose for immunocompromised individuals aged 18 and above on April 25. Meanwhile, the Health Department said a suspension of elections is likely to happen in areas where the number of COVID-19 cases is high. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The Department of Health has already scheduled the administration of second booster dose for the immunocompromised individuals in the country on April 25. This after Health Secretary Francisco Duque III's approval of the recommendation of the Health Technology Assessment Council or HTAC.
Sa ngayon, ang akin inaprubahan batay sa rekomendasyon ng Health Technology Assessment Council ay yung second booster dose para lamang sa mga immunocompromised na mga pasyente.
Magsisimula na po ang pag-roll out ng ating fourth dose or second boosters para sa ating mga kababayang immunocompromised. Sa Lunes, April 25, 2022, magtuturok na po tayo ng second booster dose shots para sa mga 18 years old and above na immunocompromised.
Among the brands to be administered as second booster dose are AstraZeneca, Moderna, Pfizer, Sinopharm, and Sinovac. Health Secretary Duque said immunocompromised individuals include organ transplant patients, those who have cancer, HIV/AIDS patients, and others. Frontline healthcare providers as well as senior citizens are not yet eligible for the fourth dose as the Health Technology Assessment Council or HTAC will have to study it thoroughly. Meanwhile, Health Chief Duque did not dismiss the possibility of suspending election in certain areas where there is COVID resurgence. However, he pointed out that alert level system will prevail, which will limit the activities, persons, and operational capacities.
Well, that is always a possibility, but we will stick to our alert leveling system.
For now, few areas see the uptick in cases, but this is not enough to elevate their alert level system. The Commission on Elections and DOH will also meet to discuss other policies that will be implemented on the upcoming presidential elections on May 9, 2022, including what will be the definite course of action for those who need to be quarantined or isolated due to COVID-19. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine Food and Drug Administration has approved the emergency use authorization for the single-shot Janssen vaccine to be used as booster doses for fully vaccinated adults. National Task Force, or NTF, against COVID-19 said Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine can be used as a homologous or same-brand booster shot with at least 2 months of interval according to the guidelines. The FDA previously said the Janssen booster shot does not need reformulation.
The Philippine government said it cannot procure a large volume of stocks of the COVID-19 treatment Paxlovid pill that is manufactured by Pfizer. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said Pfizer is requiring an indemnification law before it sells the life-saving drug to the government to absolve itself of liabilities in case of serious side effects.
Wala pong problema dito. Hindi lang po tayo makapag-angkat ang gobyerno ng maramihan dahil ang hinihingi ng kumpanya para magbenta sila ng kanila COVID direktamente sa gobyerno ay dapat meron indemnification law. Kung sakaling may problema sa paggamit ng Paxlovid, sinisigurado nila na hindi sila habulin, hindi sila matidemanda.
Nevertheless, the Department of Health said the government is still having an ongoing discussion with Pfizer on the procurement of Paxlovid. Earlier, the World Health Organization has strongly recommended the use of Paxlovid for patients with milder forms of COVID-19 and who were still at a high risk of hospitalization.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, explains there should be no confusion in the operation of provincial buses entering the metropolis. MMDA Chairman Romando Artes, however, says their refusal to operate beyond the window hours scheme may be intentional. Asher Cadapan Jr. tells us why live. Yes, Asher, good evening. Go ahead.
Good evening, Will. Provincial bus operators intend to utilize their private terminals within Metro Manila at any time of the day. This is while they are still being restricted by the government due to congestion in the metropolis. Metropolitan Manila Development Authority Chairman Romando Artes speculates this as most provincial buses designated in the North Luzon Express Terminal refused to operate beyond the window hour scheme of the agency, leaving passengers stranded.
Kung sinadya ng mga bus operators, ipitin po yung mga pasahero ng Miyerkules na kahit na po alam na nila na hindi na po dapat gamitin yung terminals nila outside of the window hour, pinaghintay po nila yung mga pasahero hanggang alas 10 ng gabi, saying na alas 10 lamang po sila ng gabi pwedeng bumiyahe.
The MMDA further explains that the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board has been in consistent communication with the provincial bus operators regarding their operation. But Artis theorizes that provincial bus operators may be using the incident to get their way.
So wala naman pong kalituhan dapat dyan. It's just that sa amin pong palagay, sinadya po ito para po magalit ang tao sa LTFRB, sa MMDA, para po ma-justify yung pagbubukas muli ng mga terminal sa EDSA at sa Manila at magamit po nila ito ng buong araw.
Will the LTFRB confirms that they have already served show cause order to 5 of the provincial bus operators involved in the incident. In the meantime, the LTFRB regional office issues special permit to at least 14 buses to help stranded passengers commuting between Region 3 and Inlet. Will?
Yes, thank you, Asher Kadapan Jr. reporting live from Quezon City.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, asks local government units to submit a validated list of qualified tricycle drivers eligible for the Pantawid Pasada program fuel subsidy. In a statement, DILG Secretary Eduardo Añez says the list should be submitted to their regional offices on or before April 26, 2022. This is to help tricycle drivers burdened by the recent oil price hikes under the Fuel Subsidy Program, or Pantawid Pasada program, which will be funded through the General Appropriations Act of 2022. Fuel assistance amounting to 6,500 pesos will be directly provided not only to affected jeepney drivers, but also to qualified drivers of UV Express, mini buses, shuttle services, taxis, tricycles, and other full-time ride-hailing and delivery services throughout the country.
President Rodrigo Duterte will be in Cebu for the opening ceremony of the Cebu-Cordova Link Expressway in the province's newest icon. The said event will take place on Wednesday, April 27, 2022. CCLEX is considered as the longest bridge in the country, measuring 8.9 kilometers long and longer than the San Juanico Bridge. The said expressway will help in reducing Cebu traffic as it could cater to over 50,000 motorists daily. CCLEX will use an all-electronic toll collection system. According to Cebu Cordova Link Expressway Corporation, motorcycles with engine displacement below 400 cc will not be allowed to pass the expressway by July this year. Sidewalk for pedestrian and bikers will also be opened on the same month.
After more than 61 years, the first ever tank battalion of the Philippine Army has been activated in Capas Tarlac yesterday. Galis Tawabi reports.
The Armored Division of the Philippine Army has activated the very first tank battalion at Camp O'Donnell in Capas Tarlac. The tank battalion aims to further increase the capacity of AFP armor units, especially in operations against threats of insurgency and terrorism.
The direction of our armored division is nowhere but up. No? In other words, pataas ng pataas yung ating capability development dito sa armored division. So nakita natin yung kakulangan, no? Yung gap sa ating firepower. In fact, during the Marawi siege, dahil nakulang yung ating direct firepower, pati yung mga indirect firepower natin, yung mga howitzers natin ay ginamit natin para sa direct fire. That is why it is very important that we modernize and we acquire the right kind of equipment in order for us to achieve the firepower that we really need.
The 1st Battalion is composed of a command vehicle, a recovery vehicle, 18 Saba Ascod light tanks, 10 Ponder 8x8 wheeled light tanks, and a tank gunnery simulator acquired by the Armed Forces of the Philippines under the revised modernization program Horizon 2. Simultaneous with the reactivation of the 1st Tank Battalion is the deactivation of the 8th Cavalry Company. Gladys Tuabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, despite Vladimir Putin's declaration of victory on the Battle of Mariupol, Ukrainian troops and civilians are held up in the city defending it from the occupiers. Marvi Delfin will give us the details live. Yes, Marvi?
The Russian president has halted operations to take over the Azovstal plant as Ukrainian troops and civilians remain in the area. In a televised meeting with Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, Putin stated that he decided not to risk any more Russian lives and has ordered them to seal off the area with the Ukrainian forces inside. However, on Thursday, leading up to their victory, satellite imagery was released, revealing the slaughter which took place in Russia's siege of Mariupol. Over 9,000 civilians killed were found buried outside of Mariupol. As Ukraine maintains defense over the plant, Mariupol Mayor Vadim Boychenko has refused to acknowledge and give the title of victory to Russia. Mayor Boychenko has brought forth more war crimes which Russia has attempted to cover, as satellite images provided by Maxar Technologies reveal over 200 mass graves lying outside of Mariupol. Meanwhile, in his nightly address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky still hopes for peace and at the same time warned the deception of Russian forces in southern Ukraine despite Russia's rejection of the truce.
В тому числі з Маріуполя, міста, яке продовжує спротив Росії, попри усе, що про це кажуть окупанти. Закликаю мешканців південних районів України, Херсонській, Запорізькій областях дуже уважно ставитись до того, яку інформацію про себе ви даєте загарбникам.
Kath? So Marvi, for Russia, what is the significance of taking over Mariupol city?
Kath, if Russia were to take full control of Mariupol city, they would gain the key access to the port which secures the coastline. If secured, a land bridge which connects Russia and Crimea would be completed, allowing them to strengthen their forces in preparation for the anticipated battle in Donbass. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Marvi Delfin, for that live report. The U.S. administration further extends COVID vaccination requirements for non-U.S. citizens crossing by land or by ferry terminals within the United States border. Jane Robles tells us why live. Yes, Jane?
Kath, the COVID-19 requirements for non-U.S. citizens entering the U.S.-Mexico border had expired Thursday, April 21. The U.S. administration announced the extension of vaccination requirements first adopted in November last year. All non-resident entering land borders must show proof of COVID-19 full vaccination. The decisions were made after discussions with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which said vaccines are the most effective public health measure to protect people from severe COVID-19 related illness or death. Unlike air travelers entering the United States, land and ferry travelers do not need to show a recent negative coronavirus test result to cross the border. Meanwhile, major airlines have been requesting the government to end the COVID-19 pre-departures testing requirements for vaccinated international passengers. Kath?
Thank you, Jane Robles, reporting live. In a UK-wide study, experts have seen the highest spike of COVID-19 antibodies on the 84th day of administering the third dose of COVID vaccine. Mavian Dog reports the details live. Maeve?
Kath, the Cove Boost study led by University Hospital Southampton or UHS has confirmed strong immune responses of COVID-19 boosters. The latest findings suggested that those who had 2 initial doses of AstraZeneca have the highest anti-spike antibodies at day 84 after given Pfizer and Moderna mRNA vaccines as a booster dose, while those given Janssen's jab as a third dose after 2 initial shots of Pfizer showed an even stronger anti-spike antibodies on the 84th day. However, there was no significant difference between those given the third jab of Pfizer or AstraZeneca for those people who had Pfizer as their first and second dose. Interestingly, the study also found that a half dose of the Pfizer vaccine gives similar responses as a full dose at 3 months. An expert in UHS at the Department of Immunology and Infectious Diseases said that this data could help in planning global vaccine supply and delivery. Kath?
Thank you, Maven Dog, for that live report. The Chinese president delivered a speech proposing a global security initiative supporting talks to resolve international disputes. Nerissa Dando details why live. Yes, Nerissa?
Kath, Chinese President Xi Jinping proposes a global security initiative
to uphold the principle of indivisible security in his speech delivered on Thursday. Amidst the Russia-Ukraine conflict, this concept was also endorsed by Russia. It means that no state should strengthen its security at the expense of another country. According to President Xi, countries should pay attention to the legitimate security concerns, and disputes should be resolved through peace and dialogue, and not by pressure and supply disruption. Furthermore, President Xi called on all countries to reject the Cold War mentality, as it would destroy world peace. Meanwhile, China has refused to criticize Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Instead, it has blamed the NATO eastward expansion. Kath?
Nerissa, are there any comments from the United States regarding the Chinese president's speech?
Yes, Kath. According to U.S. State Department spokesperson Ned Price at a regular briefing in Washington, U.S. would continue to uphold the international system based on respect for human rights, sovereignty, and self-determination. Moreover, Price restated that China faced consequences if it provided material support to Russia. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Nerissa Dando, reporting live. David Attenborough, a renowned journalist, natural historian, and author, has been named Champion of the Earth by the United Nations Environment Program, or UNEP. The 95-year-old environmental advocate has received the Lifetime Achievement Award for his dedication to research, documentation, and advocacy for the protection of nature and its restoration for the past 7 decades, according to UNEP. Upon receiving the award, Mr. Attenborough said that we should feel that we are all citizens of this one planet and we must work together to solve these problems. He then cited examples about the success of the whales, wherein 50 or 60 years ago, they were on the brink of extinction, but people got together and helped to save the whales. Some of his well-known work are documentaries such as The Green Planet on BBC Earth and the 2016 film A Plastic Ocean. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Maraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
Our Kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
Before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 4, it says, "By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches, and honor and life." And those are the reasons behind the news April 22, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.